last 25 days of what is going to be this 31 days of auditing my life, I have been looking at all ways to improve at zero waste, frugal living, healthy habits, and it really sent me down a path of thinking about frugality, but also never really compromising on health. But what if we have to compromise on our health? Because, like I've said before, our choices are handcuffed to our pockets. Well, it really got me thinking, and I saw a couple of videos going around on YouTube called Extreme Food Budget Challenge. Now, because I wouldn't ever want to compromise my health, I wondered whether it would be possible to do these budget challenges with health in mind. Because all the videos that I saw centered around people either trying to live on £1 a day or $1 a day for 30 days, to seeing whether they could do it, whether it was even possible, whether they could even feed themselves to satiation each day, and how unhealthy it may be for them. Now, I started to think on the contrary to that. Could you do it but it be reasonably healthy? I came up with a plan, a nutritional plan that I would follow if I ever actually wanted to try and live on £1 a day, or if I had to. Because even though fresh stuff is always probably going to be best, there are still some things that aren't that bad for us in comparison to some of these budget challenges that I saw, which was people sort of living on frozen pizzas and rice pudding. So I'm going to tell you all what I thought that I would live on, the breakdown of that, and how it's possible to even make different meals doing it. So for instance, these are my go-to budget options of what I would perhaps live on in a day if I only had approximately £1 per day to live on. Are we ready? Quick fire. So I do eat organic eggs that are RSPCA approved by Marks and Spencer to make sure that the hens are not being forced to overproduce, that they live a happy life. And even the free-range eggs, I don't believe, are that expensive, and they break down to about 15 pence each. I would therefore have 2 eggs a day as a good source of amino acids and protein and a little bit of fat. And I'll later discuss how it would be possible to make quite a few different meals from these eggs. Next, beans. As an English person, we love our baked beans. Yes, they do come in a tin, which isn't ideal, but if you do your research, there are some brands of beans out there that no longer come with the sort of tin lined with plastic tins. Now, the cheapest beans on the market are about 12 pence, but for the purposes of this video, we're going to round it to the nearest 5 pence, so that is 10 pence. And a tin of beans, I believe, other than the fact that yes, it is tinned, in terms of nutrition, it's almost on a budget the perfect thing to eat. It's got equal parts fibre to carbohydrates to protein and quite a lot of vitamins in it. So I think baked beans would be a perfect budget-friendly, reasonably healthy option, and that is even better because it goes great with your eggs. I absolutely love avocado. As I discussed earlier on in these videos, if you buy your avocados in a big bunch for sort of £2, usually you get 6 in a pack for £2, and that breaks down to 33 pence per avocado, which if we were to have, say, ration ourselves and have half an avocado a day, it is roughly about 16.5 pence, and therefore rounding it to the nearest 5 is 15 pence. And it's again a great source of vitamins and healthy fats, and again goes great with eggs. Now, I actually love a little bit of sourdough toast or a little bit of seeded toast. It obviously helps fill us up that little bit more. Sourdough is great for your gut. If you opt for seeded, it's that little bit of extra protein, and again it goes great with eggs, avocados or beans. My mum absolutely loves beans on toast. She has it nearly every day. I'm not quite as up there with the beans on toast as her, but it's a British staple, and it is a cheap, reasonably healthy British staple, depending on the type of bread that you're having it with and perhaps the type of tin beans that you are getting. And the toast, you get around 20 slices for £1, so 2 pieces is 10 pence. Now, what do I always usually have in the background, although my fruit dish is a little bit empty today? Bananas. Bananas are also a great food filled with vitamins, and I think they're a great little snack as well to perhaps have as your breakfast, have in the afternoon, and they equate to around 10 pence each if you buy a big bunch. And then to go with our bananas, because we might want a few options for breakfast, porridge oats are one of the cheapest things that we can possibly buy, or at least it is in the UK. So a portion of porridge oats with perhaps a little drizzle of maple syrup is only going to set you back about 10 pence. So we've got a few options there from what we might want for breakfast or lunch. We might want porridge with a banana on and a bit of maple syrup, or if we're Scottish we might even just have a little sprinkling of salt on it and save our banana for later. But with the choice of bread and eggs, we could even make French toast. We could make an omelette with avocado, or if we didn't want beans on toast, we could have the next thing that I'm about to say. So for our evening meal, we could choose to have a baked potato. A baked potato, especially if you buy them in sacks, is very, very cheap, and we could have a tiny little sprinkling of cheese or vegan cheese, and that would also set us back at about 10 pence. But then with some of the other ingredients that we've got on this list, we could choose to have beans and cheese, which is a firm favourite in the UK. Or we could even make an omelette with our cheese, or we could make a Spanish tortilla if we use our eggs and our cheese together and sliced up our potato. So this little concoction of ingredients really gives us a few choices about what we actually have, and is reasonably healthy for such a cheap extreme budget. It's giving us some fats, some calcium, some fibre, some protein and some carbohydrates. You could swap the baked potatoes out for sweet potatoes, even though that might be a little bit more. But all in all, I think that comes to £1.05, so slightly over the £1 budget. I think it's doable, I think it's reasonably healthy, and I just loved thinking about the challenge of how I could try to eat reasonably healthy if I was actually restricted to a £1 budget, which I know these days now with inflation, you know, people are suffering. And in the UK, there's becoming like an epidemic bout of malnutrition because people can't actually afford enough good food to keep them healthy. So this is an option. So too is visiting the supermarkets around closing time to get the reduced label products. And don't forget, we do have food banks if you are really struggling to give yourself healthy meals. And other than saying, I simply cannot afford to feed myself, you will not be asked to answer any further questions. These food banks are really set up for people who are really struggling, no matter what the circumstances, to feed themselves in a healthy manner. So I hope you've all found this video entertaining, and I will see you all tomorrow. But first, or should I say last, water. So water's free, but if like me and you like a cup of tea, how could you even factor in tea into that budget? Well, you could go foraging for natural things to make your own tea. For instance, in this area that I live, lots of wild blackberries, lots of wild rhubarb, lots of wild mint, some options there. Was that fast? I don't know. See you all tomorrow. Bye!